Thanks. The Committee Congress invited me here for this speech. I'm Xiaomin. I'm from Hangzhou. Here are some standard disclosures because I'm gonna show some pictures of some medical instruments. First, let me introduce where I'm coming from. On the map of China, Hangzhou locates on the east coast. It's a city with 2,200 years of history, and it was capital city of several dynasties. About 700 years ago, an Italian traveler called Marco Polo described Hangzhou as the most beautiful and luxurious place in the world. Now it has 9.8 million population and 1-hour train from Shanghai. The city might be not that famous as Shanghai, but the West Lake and its beautiful sceneries attract millions of people from all over the world each year. In 2016, G20 summit was held in my hometown, Hangzhou. And Alibaba Group, one of the world's biggest e-commerce businesses, was held in Hangzhou by Jack Ma in 1999. Now the company has expanded into online banking, entertainment, and cloud computing. These made the city pretty well known. And you must notice that the first ICEHTM Congress was held in my hometown Hangzhou in 2015. In the picture, that was me at the Congress reporting on the safety of medical gas system. Here's some introduction of my hospital. I'm from Hangzhou Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine, TCM. It's founded in 1952. These are the buildings. Medical devices valued 440 million RMB in total, including 2 MRIs, 2 CT scanners, etc. We have 25 ICU beds, 11 OR rooms, and 110 dialysis machines, which makes it one of the biggest dialysis centers in East China. We combine TCM with Western medicine during diagnosis and treatment. We also provide preventive treatment of diseases, as well as science research and teaching. Here are some statistics of my hospital main campus. There are more than 1,700 caregivers, 2 clinics, 3 association branches, and 1,000 licensed beds. 1.8 million outpatient visits. This year might exceed 2 million outpatient visits. TCM nephrology and TCM gynecology are the 2 national key specialties of my hospital, which deal with problems like chronic nephritis or infertility. And these 2 departments account for 25% of the outpatient of my hospital, 24% of the admissions, and 32% of the revenue. TCM not only belongs to China, it also orient toward the world and the future, and we are doing our share. TCM's influence is growing by the setting up of the Italian workshop in Rome of TCM Her's gynecology. Her is their family name of this branch of gynecology in China. And by the Belt and Road Academic Communications in Rome. So Rome and Hangzhou really have much connections. So here, let me introduce my new campus. The new campus is fully funded by the government, about, till now, 800 million RMB. It covers an area of 11 acres, construction area 1,067 1,000 square meters. 100 licensed beds, the same size as the main campus. The medical equipment planning project has been working on for 2 years and is still supportive in conformity with the opening of the hospital, because the hospital is opening step by step. First the clinic, and then step by step the wards, and by the end of this year we are opening the ER. This is the group of the clinical engineering. The man left to me, he and I are both the vice director of the hospital, and we both come from the clinical engineering team. This does not happen very frequently in China. And the team is growing with the opening of the new campus. The team of us doing planning, consulting, and budgeting of the medical devices for both campuses. We also do some training, and we do purchasing as well, including the IVD and consumable devices, medical devices. These consumable devices may value 140 million RMB each year for the new campus. We train the staff from other hospitals in the local, and we also help them testing and maintenance if they are lack of manpower, when they do not have any test machine. And we also help the technology improvement of the community centers, because we are the medical device quality control center. This is what we do routinely, I think the same as you. On the upper right picture, we were trying to push a cleaner into the lift, because it was in the very early stage of the construction of the new campus. And at that time, that's the only lift available. And the cleaner needs to be in position into the wall. So eventually we got lucky, because the cleaner is just the right size to fit in the lift. And the upper middle picture shows the cleaner after installation. The planning project always begins with the submission of the medical device demands by the users. Then we evaluate their requirements based on the necessity and based on the annual budget. And top priority always include those big capital equipments, including the MR, CT, and other imaging, because they need strong support from the infrastructure, such as the electric power supply and the magnetic shielding, and things like the weighing bearing capacities. And we also need to prepare a safe and smooth passageway for those big items, such as the magnet of the MRI. Medical equipment planning is all about what's in the purchasing list, where to install them, when does each piece arrive, and how to install them. There are 4 types of medical equipments on our purchasing list. First, capital equipments, and then the basic or routine devices for each department, and TCM devices, and things in the Chinese drugs, pharmaceutics. And we decide where, when, and how based on the layout of each floor, based on the clinical requirement and the annual budget. There are lots of built-in devices which need to be coordinated with the infrastructure planning, such as the EO, the plasma sterilizer, and the cleaners in the central sterilization department. And determine the location of medical hanging tower, surgical light, assembly line system in the lab, no matter when they are to be installed, just just reserve the room for them and get facility support ready for them before their installation. For instance, if you want to install a surgical light, you need to install their base inside the ceiling first. So finish this part of the job before the ceiling work is done. Of course, you don't want to break the ceiling and fix it back again, because that will cause unnecessary time and trouble and too much money for the construction team. And find a proper position of the RO water system for the dialysis machine. And don't forget to remind the construction team to use proper drainage pipeline, because during each day hot chemical disinfection, we need to rely on the resistance of the sewers to hot water and to chemical corrosion. Here are some key rules. Rule number 1, make medical device plans ahead of layout design, because when a user wants an extra device in the room after you have every plan implanted, you might not need not only the electric power supply or water supply. These are respectively easier to install. It might concern of extra medical gas terminal, or you have to use a different drainage pipeline. This will cause too much trouble to the construction team. And rule number 2, always finish bidding process and get the purchasing contract ready ahead of the construction to keep up with the time schedule. Rule number 3, keep close communication with the construction department, and this communication starts as early as possible. These are some of the routine devices we bought: defibrillators, EKGs, infusion pumps, and monitors. With a more than 3,000-year history, TCM surely are very welcomed and popular to the people and frequently practiced in our hospital. And we use TCM to treat a lot of diseases like facial paralysis, tennis elbow, kidney stone, and asthma, and many other kind of diseases, and such as lumbar problems, cervical problems. It's very popular. And for a TCM doctor, he needs to make his diagnose by taking pulse, by watching the patient's tongue and face. That's usually what an internal TCM doctor do. And now time, machine can also do the same job. And we use meridian detectors, pulse readers, tongue information identification system, but I don't think we can rely on those machines. And people are still working on it to improve the accuracy of the machine compared to the human diagnose. As a TCM hospital, we are equipped by these instruments: acupuncture, moxibustion, cupping, and acupoint stimulators, and other physical instruments. As a TCM hospital, Chinese government encouraged us to produce our own TCM drugs. And these prescriptions usually come from local doctors' experience. We have a 5,000 square meter TCM drug preparation department, which produces 42 kinds of different forms of Chinese drugs, like ointment, powder, lotion, decoctions. Take the herbal mixture as an example. First, we have to extract the useful ingredients from the herb with this machine, the first one, and concentrate the liquid and purify it with the centrifuge. And after the packing and sterilization, we get the end product. The new campus opened by the end of last year, and I think it's quite a successful planning because we got everything we need before the hospital opened. And in the video shows part of the process that we produce our TCM drugs. Of course, we need a GMP certificate from the government. That's sterilization. So that's the last slide of my report. And thank you for listening. You're welcome to Hangzhou and to my hospital. Thanks.